Good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, a big thank you to the NDA for inviting me here today to represent the Irish Association of Sport and Employment. You'll be delighted to know that Liz has she has given a very, very comprehensive overview of support and employment. So that I suppose assists me in terms of some of the material that I was going to cover. Just to say that the Irish Association of Support and Employment is the only national organisation in Ireland that's promoting the model, the pure model of support and employment. It's about promoting best practice in employment for people with disabilities in Ireland. The definition, and Liz has referred to some of this, it's around enabling people to access real employment opportunities of their choice, again within integrated settings, providing the appropriate level of supports, which we believe is long-term support. So it's not about exiting or taking supports from people at a particular point while in employment. It's about providing that support for as long as the person requires it. And obviously it's about enabling the individuals to become economically and socially active in their community. So the model is based on a place, train and maintain concept. And that means that you find a job for the person after working with the person, and then you place them in employment and you provide the training on site for the individual, and then the long-term supports, as mentioned earlier on, and Liz has alluded to it as well, in the context of a professional trained job coach. And this is very different in that concept from what has been traditionally in place within disabilities services throughout the country over the years, which has been very much around people being trained in a vocational training or a placement segregated type setting. And unfortunately for many people, they were training for years and they never became ready, so to speak, for employment. So this concept, I think, overturned that whole notion that people had to be ready to take on a job. It's about getting the right job, the right match for the individual. And again, as Liz mentioned, that whole systematic instruction a concept is extremely important, and I think that's where support employment originated in the 1970s in the USA as a result of that whole systematic training concept. And it proved that people, even people with significant disabilities, could learn new tasks and hold a job within an integrated work setting. The benefits to the job seekers. Now, many of you might be sitting there saying, well, you know, they're very basic. They're the basic benefits for any one of us who are in employment in terms of having equal employment status and rights and all of that. And we all know that by being in the workplace, we have more opportunity to socialise and meet new people and be part of and be connected to the workforce. And the reason we actually refer to this when we're making a presentation is that, unfortunately, for people with disabilities, and it currently is the case for for thousands of people with disabilities in Ireland, they don't get this opportunity. They are currently still attending, working within segregated settings. They're living within segregated, and many people are living within congregate settings. And they have very little opportunity for inclusion, for integration, for meeting new people, making new friends, and enjoying all of the community, the benefits of community life that all of us benefit from. And that's the reason why we put this slide up here, because it makes us really think about, you know, how these are the basic benefits, but so many people with disabilities don't have access to those benefits. The benefits to the employer, and again, some of this has been covered, but I would say that one of the strong, positive pieces of feedback that comes from employers throughout the world, really, in relation to employing people with disabilities, is their they're always taken back by the level of loyalty and commitment that they get from employees who have a disability. And I've heard of so many cases of and where employers have said, that people have made such an effort to get their job, even in terms of the whole, recently when we had very, very bad snow here in Ireland. And I heard back, I got feedback where people made such an effort to make it to work, didn't want to let their employer down. They were so motivated and committed to the job that they were doing. And that's a really, really positive piece of feedback to get. And it's something that we hear quite a lot. Obviously, there's financial incentives and all of that for the employer. But one of the more positive benefits that employers will mention is access to a professional job coach and a professional support employment service, which is a really, really good positive support for them. And I worked in the area of support employment myself directly over the years, and for some people who might have been in a job for 8 years and everything was going fine, and they may only need some drop-in support once a month, sometimes even less. But things can change within the work environment, or something may have changed for the individual themselves and they need a little bit of extra support. And knowing that they have the backup of a professional service is extremely important to the employer, and in many cases has resulted in the individual not losing their job. I've seen the other side of people who didn't have, people with disabilities and employers who didn't have the backup of a professional support employment service, and where things went wrong, the individual lost their job, and it could have been resolved quite easily if those supports had been in place. The Irish Association of Support Employment, very quickly stated, was established in 1994. As I mentioned, it's the only national service or organisation that's promoting this particular model here in Ireland. It's a company limited by guarantee and has charitable status, and we're the representative voice of over 900 members nationally, and they're people with disability, family members, members from disability organisations, personnel who work directly in the area of supported employment, and also employers and members of the community. Our role and aims are to promote supported employment nationally, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but I suppose to say that we do feature in terms of inputting to policy at a national level in the whole area of more inclusive work practices for people with disabilities in Ireland. We sit on, or we have been sitting on, the National Consultative Forum and had input into the comprehensive employment strategy for people with disabilities in Ireland, and we've been involved in lots of other different national forums as well. So we're quite involved in terms of exchanging and sharing information among our members, and liaising quite strongly with employers as well, and providing training information for them also. We're also members of the European Union of Supported Employment, which again is a body that has representation from across Europe in the whole area of support employment, does very, very proactive work in the whole area of support employment on a European level. Again, I'm not going to go through all of the significant developments, but just to say that, just to point out one or two, one of the most significant in the early years was that of the development of a third level accredited qualification for job coaches here in Ireland. That was accredited by NUI in Galway, and we partnered off with the Open Training College in relation to developing the course materials. Hundreds of job coaches completed that training, and it was very, very successful. And that course and those modules have been replicated and are being used in other European countries. We were the first European country to develop this training. We were the first country to take on the presidency of the European Union of Support Employment, and that was Christy Lynch, who was involved in that, and he's one of the founders of support employment here in Ireland and one of the founders of the Irish Association of Support Employment. So we've been involved in some mainstream support employment programs in terms of development of best practice projects throughout the country. We had one in Monaghan and Donegal in 1997, and the findings for that has been written up as well. I'm going to speak a little bit more about the National Job Shadow Initiative. I was delighted to see that it was referred to earlier. And we also have a National Support Employment Week. And all of those initiatives about creating greater awareness about support employment and the positive outcomes that can present for people with disabilities here in Ireland. And we also have National Best Practice Awards, which recognises on a yearly basis individuals who are, I suppose, showing very, very high standards or creating quite high standards in the workplace. We have also included in that, we have recognition for job coaches and for mentors in the workplace and for support employment organisations. That's been extremely positive as well. We also have been involved in an action research project in County Mayo where 5 schools became involved and they did some very, very positive work with employers around creating more awareness around support employment, getting feedback from them in relation to their needs in terms of opening their employment sites to people with disabilities. So that was extremely positive as well. Just to refer to this particular slide, in 1999 the IASE submitted a proposal to the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment. At that time they had responsibility for support, well, they took on responsibility for support employment, and in the budget of 1999 the government allocated £9 million at the time to develop a national support employment project. And we were involved in that, and that was at the launch of it, and we were in partnership with IASE and the Taoiseach, who was Minister Mary Harney at the time, Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Employment. There were a number of consortiums set up nationally who rolled out support employment within different regions. Currently now there are 23 limited companies, all called employability services here in Ireland, and they are responsible for meeting the needs of people with disabilities who are looking for supported employment. I suppose one of the difficulties currently is that the criteria has changed quite significantly with regard to the national support employment from the time that it was originally introduced, and currently there is a job readiness criteria in place which we believe should not be included in with regard to this whole support employment model. And there's also an exit strategy, so people have an 18-month period on the programme, and following that then the exit from the programme, and also the job coaches have an active caseload of 25 individuals. All of this, in terms of the criteria that's in place, impacts on, I suppose, the ability of those services to support people with higher support needs. And this has been an ongoing debate. So currently, I suppose, what's happening in Ireland nationally is that you have a national programme, employability programme, which is accessible throughout the country in all the different counties. And then you have other services, like the service that I'm director of with St John of God's, who also have a support employment service, which is funded by the Department of Health. And I suppose in that context, there are 2 programmes kind of running side by side. The one that I have responsibility for it's something that we have developed ourselves. It's not linked to the National Support Employment Programme, but we would see it as being the true model of support employment in that it has no criteria associated with it. Some of the activities that were involved, we have a very comprehensive website. It's accessible for people with disabilities as well, and we developed some videos to bring people up to speed in terms of support employment and some of the positive feedback we received from it. And we create newsletters as well for members and other people who are on our mailing lists. We have a strategic plan, which we're just finalising now. Our new strategic plan, which is finishing off now. We had our strategic plan run up to 2010. We have 7 regional branches, which are very, very positive, because it means that the regional groups can come together and can make us aware of what the needs are on the ground in the context of training, information, further education, and issues that may need to be raised at a national level as well. Our patron is Sean Gallagher, who most people would be aware of, and as I mentioned, we're members of the European Union of Support and Employment, and I've mentioned our membership as well. So one of our most significant developments in the last 6 months is that we have been nominated to host the 2013 European Union of Support and Employment Conference. It's going to take place in Croke Park. And the team is building an inclusive Europe through support and employment. The conference is going to be very exciting in that we hope to attract up to 900 delegates, mainly from Europe, but from across the world. And we are going to also, I suppose, extend look at the model, support employment model, for other groups outside of people with disabilities as well. It's mainly going to be for people with intellectual with disabilities, but we're also going to focus in on early school leavers, people from the travelling community, people who are associated with the prison services as well. We have confirmed Paul Wayman from America, and he's one of the pioneers of support and employment in the world. We're also going to have a very strong focus on the whole area of employment for people with mental health issues, and also for people with autism. They're 2 of the areas that are coming up at the moment as of greatest need. So we're going to focus very strongly on that. Dr. Rachel Perkins, who I know the NDA had spoken about. Okay, she also is going to be present. Okay, so very quickly to say, I'm not here to, in case you think that I'm here canvassing on behalf of the Taoiseach, I'm not. This is a picture of where the Taoiseach got involved in the National Job Shadow Initiative, and that started, as I mentioned, 2008. So this year we had great involvement from the Taoiseach and other government ministers, and that's just a sample of some people who are in different locations this year as part of the Job Shadow Initiative. So just again some statistics on it. It started in 2008, and you can see the numbers of participants who are involved and employers. This year in 2012 there were 104 public service placements, which was very, very positive. We're delighted with the response we've got from the public sector in relation to the Job Shadow Initiative. I came from an event earlier today where we were presenting to employers and to participants, and the local Garda station had been very involved, and so just to say that it's been really fantastic. We have also been successful in securing 59 employment opportunities for people with disabilities as a result of the Job Shadow Initiative. That's not why it primarily was set up. It has been more around creating a greater awareness around the positive contribution that people with disabilities can make to the workplace, but however it's been a very, very positive outcome. So despite the economic situation, you can see that our numbers have been have been holding up quite strongly, and we're delighted with that. Just some brief feedback on it, that from the job seekers in 2011, we can see that 27% had no previous experience of support and employment, so that's very positive as well, and 75% were satisfied that the job shadow met their needs and understood that the purpose was to shadow. Around employers, I suppose the key piece of information there is that 97% would participate in the Job Shadow Initiative in the future, which is really, really positive. and 91% would consider employing a person with disability in the future as well. So just again to just make reference to some of the benefits, I suppose on a national level it's been really, really beneficial in showcasing the positive contribution people with disabilities can make to the workplace, and raising awareness around supported employment and promoting inclusive recruitment practices and policies. Also, employers would say that it has been very good in breaking down barriers and addressing fears that they may have or misconceptions around employing with people with disabilities. Even though it's been only for one day, it still has had a very, very positive impact in relation to that. And it's also afforded people with disabilities an opportunity to see what the workplace is about, what are the skill sets required to do the job, and then help them make a good choice going forward. Next year it's going to happen on the 24th of April 2013, and the National Sport Employment Week will be 22nd and 26th of April. That's just to say if you want to contact us, our website is www.iase.ie. Okay, so just in relation to the whole area of mental health, to say that the IASE represent all people with disabilities, so we obviously the organisations who are involved in sport employment would support people with mental health issues into employment as well. And the Wall and Burton report in 2006 said there is a strong evidence base showing that work is generally good for physical and mental health and well-being, and work can be therapeutic and can reverse the adverse health effects of unemployment. I suppose with the national... Sorry. Okay. Okay, that's fine. I'll finish it. I'll just see if there's anything that might be of particular. Just in terms in Ireland here, only 20% of people with severe and enduring mental health are employed. So what I'm going to do, just to mention briefly, just before I finish, is that Clonwera is part of St John of God Services, and they have a DETECT programme there. They have been doing a piece of research in relation to collecting information, employment and work participation of a sample of people with psychotic illnesses over a 12-year period. So that's been really, really interesting. If you go onto the website, you'll be able to get information in relation to that. So what that piece of research has shown is that after people have been diagnosed with schizophrenia or psychosis, that you can see there's been a reduction in their involvement in employment over that period. So that kind of would show that there has been their mental health has impacted on them being able to get a job or hold a job. And just to say that, just to finally finish up on that, to say that in 2009, with the support of the Mental Health Commission, they introduced a job coach using the support employment model, and that had very, very positive effects for people who had been diagnosed with first episode psychosis. You can see there that of a number of 41, 37 were in paid employment, 12 in volunteering roles, 15 studying or attending other courses, and 12 doing other type of employer-based training. So that showed that the input of a job coach and using the support employment model had a very positive impact on that particular group of people. And just finally say that the conclusions from that particular study is saying that I suppose that the main thing is that the support employment model with a dedicated job coach has led to positive outcomes for those who engaged fully with the job coach and with the support employment service, and also to say that non-paid work is a positive outcome for some and should not be undervalued, considering the role and sense of purpose it provides. And that's really was key to that. And finally, to say that the Job Shadow Initiative also was beneficial. That's they're on the slides, and if you want to get more information on that particular piece of research, that particular service, you can go onto there. If you just Google them, it's on Clonwera Services and DETECT programme. Thank you all very much.